Welcome to Gardening with Ben, the podcast where we dig into the soil of our gardens and the depths of our green thumbs. I'm your host Ben, here to guide you through the joys of gardening from sowing seeds to reaping bountiful harvests. Each episode will explore tips, tricks and tales from the garden and allotment, sharing insights from ourselves and stories from our own back garden adventures. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just getting your hands dirty for the first time, there's something here for everyone. So grab your brew and gardening gloves and let's get growing with Gardening with Ben. Hello and welcome to this episode for today, talking about nature's neighbours, the podcast that we're delivering and fostering a thriving haven for the birds and wildlife in your garden and an allotment. In each episode, we're going to delve into the world of birds, wildlife, plants, tips, advice, and creating a sanctuary that welcomes our feathered friends and creatures into our garden and our allotment, and creating cozy habitat where we'll guide you through the joys of adding the nature into your backyard and the benefits behind it. So grab your binoculars and your gardening gloves. It's time to nurture the wild side of your green space in your garden and an allotment. So in this episode, we're going to talk about why it's so important to get the wildlife and the birds into your garden. And to be honest, when I first took on my plot for the first few years, I weren't bothered whatsoever about looking after the birds or the wildlife. And I just thought I'll just grow my fruit and my vegetables, and there we'll have it. We'll be looking after what I need to do in my allotment. We're growing as fruit and veg, and that's all I'm bothered about. We don't need to bother about anything else. And yeah, I had some successful crops and stuff like that, but also you get a lot of pests and stuff down at your plot. So what I started looking into is natural ways of getting rid of pests. And the general answer to a lot of that was birds and wildlife, because birds and wildlife will obviously help get rid of pests. And the reason why birds will get rid of pests is that they'll come down, they'll eat the slugs, they'll eat the snails, and they'll get rid of them from out of your allotment and garden. So you won't have as many slugs and snails. You'll still get plenty, trust me. They won't eat them all, unfortunately. But it will help reduce the numbers down on your plot. And obviously the same goes for wildlife. If you attract hedgehogs or frogs to the plot, they will also eat the slugs and snails. So encouraging wildlife to your plot is very important. And over the last couple of years, I've put more and more effort into looking after the wildlife on my plot. I've got 2 bird houses up, and when I first put my bird houses up, literally, and this is the genuine truth, within about 30 minutes of putting it up, I had blue tits coming to inspect them and look around to see if they were habitable for them to move into. And within a day, they'd started building the nests in the bird boxes, and I was so amazed. And they laid some blue tit eggs, and I got some baby blue tits on my allotments, and all the time you could see the blue tits flying in and out with all the grubs and the worms and the slugs to feed the youngsters, and that obviously helps keep the slugs and snails down and the bugs. So attracting the blue tits and the birds to the plot is very important, and also obviously as it's winter time at the moment, it's good to feed the birds because there's not much food around for the birds at the moment. Obviously, there can be snow on the ground, or the ground can be frosted over and rock hard, so then they won't be able to dig the worms out and stuff like that. So you need to encourage the birds to your garden by feeding them. And yeah, it can be expensive, but it is nice to see different varieties of birds down at my allotment. I do love seeing them flying in and out. And yet, they can attract rats and squirrels to the plot to eat the seeds, but it's swings and roundabouts with anything. Um, you just have to bite the bullet sometimes and just go with what you think's best. So I do love to attract the birds down to my plot. We're talking about the feathered ones here. Um, but yeah, we try and get as many different varieties of bird feed because different varieties of bird feed will attract different birds down to the allotment. And I've had like blue tits, I've had finches, I've had sparrows. You don't see many blackbirds though down at my plot. That is one thing I don't see. I don't see many blackbirds. So if anyone's got any tips on attracting blackbirds down to my plot, please do let me know because I do like to see blackbirds as they're lovely. And you just don't see many of them these days down on my plot. I don't know why, whether they're more shy, but when I used to live at my parents' house, there used to be a blackbird in the garden what lived there all the time. It used to attack you because they've got birds nesting in the hedges and stuff like that. But I do want to get some blackbirds down at my plot, so please do let me know by sending me a message how I can attract blackbirds to my allotment, as I would like to know. And also, I've got a pond down at my plot, which I've had in for a couple of years, and every year I make sure that I've got some frog spawn in it to get the frogs hatching, the tadpoles hatching into frogs, because the more frogs that you have down at your plot, obviously they'll go around eating all the frogs, eating all the slugs and snails up. And out of everything from the birds to the frogs, I'd say the frogs are the main thing that I want to concentrate on getting on the plot because frogs do a fantastic amount of work. And obviously, frogs you'll see around the garden more when it's wet and when it's stormy and horrible because frogs like to be out in the rain. And obviously, when it's raining, that's when the slugs come out as well. So, frogs are a vital thing to your allotment. If you can get frogs on your allotment, you're laughing because they will help you so much and they'll save so much pain and misery from everything getting eaten. They're literally going around scooping them up for you at night time and in the rainy weather. So it's good to look after your allotment. The next thing is what I want to start looking out for on my plot is I want to start looking after the creepy crawlies and stuff like that. I need to get some houses. That's one thing I do want to get down on my plot. So that's going to be his next thing to get some bug houses. We've sorted out the birds, we've sorted out the frogs. Now we're going to be getting some bug huts. Uh, you can actually make your own if you look around on line how to make them, or you can purchase them. And like you'll get your ladybirds, your earwigs, and stuff like that hiding in them. Butterflies, you can get a butterfly house as well. I might get one of those this year, a butterfly house. So I've got on my list that I want a butterfly house, a bug hut, and I would love a couple of hedgehog houses down at my plot, but they are quite expensive. So we might get a couple of hedgehog homes this year. So stay tuned. If we do get some hedgehog homes, we'll keep you updated and we'll post some pictures of them. Or if anyone wants to send me some, feel free. But yeah, keep listening to these podcasts and we'll be able to get one because they are quite expensive. But yeah, I'd love some hedgehog homes down on my plot. As obviously, again, hedgehogs are fantastic for down at the allotment. So we might look into that. And I do know that I've once seen a hedgehog down at my plot. It was hibernating in my polytunnel. So we have had traces of hedgehogs down on my plot. So yeah, possibly we may look into getting that soon. If you know when the best time is to put a hedgehog house out, obviously they're hibernating at this time of year, aren't they? Do let me know when I need to put one out if anybody's got any experience with hedgehogs. So hopefully we can get stuff sorted this year. My plot is going to look absolutely fantastic this year, trust me. We are going to have the best looking allotment around in Sheffield and in the UK. You can all miss that. If it's looking rubbish, people, let me know. Please do. But yeah, I am certainly in a good mood for my allotment this year, and the amount of work and time and effort I'm putting in is unbelievable. And as I've recorded this episode, we have already recorded Saturdays and Sundays episode. So make sure you click that follow button, that notify button, and there will be new podcasts out on Saturday and Sunday. This has come out late on Friday night, so you may even be listening to this on Saturday morning as well. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do leave some feedback. Please do hit the rating button as well, as it all helps towards pushing my podcast out. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben, everyone. And that wraps up another episode of Gardening with Ben. Thank you for joining me in this journey. Remember, every seed planted is a step towards a greener world, and every day is a chance to grow something beautiful. Keep nurturing your gardens and your souls. Until next time, I'm Gardening with Ben, reminding you to let your garden be your sanctuary. Happy gardening, and see you in the next episode. Remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben.